Hey, there we go. Oh, yeah, green for good, green for go. All right, good evening, everybody. If we can get everybody to find a seat, we will get started. We got a busy night tonight as usual, so we will jump right in. All right, I've got 5:03. We'll get started. I apologize up front if I'm a little discombobulated. I've been working on an essay for my degree all day. This guy right here is managing to quote Plato when it comes to modern emergency management techniques. That's right, I'm doing it. All right, let's see. Called order was at 5:03.
Got it. Push and hold.
Yeah, push right side, push and hold the button.
The littlest one.
And then on top is the mute button to mute and unmute yourself. Sam is Sam is in digital land tonight. Sam, can you hear us okay, sir? Okay, all right, good deal.
Thank you.
All right, we will jump right in with announcements and citizen comments. This is an opportunity for members of the public to suggest the addition of topics for the discussion or to address topics of interest with the presentation limited to 3 minutes. All speakers will conduct themselves in an orderly and lawful manner. All speakers will be recognized prior to speaking and will announce their name and address to be included in the minutes. State law prohibits the mayor and members of the city council from commenting on any statement or engaging in dialogue without an appropriate agenda item being posted on, in accordance with the Texas open meeting laws. This evening for the workshop, we have Miss Donna Hartman is the only one who has signed up. Thank you, Vanna White.
Hopefully not pass out.
Don't pass out, Larry.
I didn't know I was going to get this job.
Yeah, we're gonna do this.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
tape one in front.
make sure you
Thank
give one
sir.
to Kelly. It's just easier to follow along, I think, if you have something written. Okay, well, I'm Donna Hartman, 112 Great West Loop. And first off, I wanted to thank Ken and his P&Z crew and Mike Reeves. I really appreciate the fact that you took the suggestions I had for the building ordinance in 3 and you made that happen. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I have a quick question. I don't want to get involved with it because I want to talk about variances a second. Okay, when we're doing the election and we're doing early voting and it's here and it has regular, hours down here, or the city hall hours, and it said the staff was the early voting, does that mean a staff member has to be here all that time during early voting? Sometimes we used to do it at city hall where somebody could go in there and assist. I don't know, I'm just asking that question. Or is the judge and her assistants gonna be here? Seems like that's kind of costly. Something to think about. If so, we can maybe change that location. If it's something, it's like, it might be easier to do it at City Hall for early voting. Just a thought. Okay, so what I wanted to talk to you about, I've been having some confusions on the variances for septic systems. One thing is, we've never done variances with anything to do with septic systems. The county has done all things septic. So I kind of had a question, and the answer I was getting was our ordinance just reflects they have to have a half acre. So we want to give a variance to that ordinance. Well, so I just wanted to point out a couple things, and I've got copies of you if you need this. But I was reading chapter, and I got Ken, do I have everything on septic systems? And Dorothy, and they said, yes, absolutely, this is what it is. Okay, so in reading chapter 14B2, this is what it states. In all subdivision plats filed after, keyword, filed after January 1, 1988, after 1988, on the on-site sewer system, disposals utilized, a minimum size lot must be at least half an acre. But the key word is, if it's saying they're subject to this, if it's after 88, to me and to the county who talked to us last week, said before 88, if it's platted, they're grandfathered. So why do we need a variance to our ordinance when our ordinance speaks to me the same language as the county does? So that's where I have a lot of confusion. I'm reading this ordinance to say 1988 pre-platted, you go to the county and they work with you. They come up with a plan, which is what and the gentleman last month, I was so happy to hear him because this is what I've been trying to say all along. And he reiterated that they work with them. Now he might have to say to the house you want to build, you're going to have to add some lots to it. But our ordinance to me does not reflect that we're saying it has to be a half acre. And we're not doing that anyway. The houses that are being built, with the exception, now this is an exception, of course, are new annexations, subdivisions, they're all subject to the half acre, okay? But the pre-platted are not. At this point with the state, they are grandfathered in. So I want you to think about that with variances and think, you know how sometimes we're looking at a variance and going, why do we need this variance? They're complying with what we're saying. So that was a question I had. And then, you know, throughout our ordinances, sewage must be approved prior to the installation. Our permitting process states on number 7 in our building permit, they have to go to Bell County. These are things that have to be turned in when you're building putting a mobile home or house. They have to turn in number 7, the approval from Bell County. Our ordinances and our building codes reflect that like an engineer or professional person has to design them, and they take them and they work with the county. So my concern is we're getting involved in these variances, and I kind of cringe because we've been so fortunate that we don't have to do anything with these septic systems because the county takes care of it. And the question that I thought, and if I'm wrong, you know, forgive me, but the thing I'm hearing back is our ordinance is reflecting a half acre. And my thing is, and you read it too, and I quoted exactly what it says, platted after at least a half acre. So anyway, my opinion is that we're kind of in line the same way Bell County. I was very reinforced by our speaker last month. I think that we're fine, all things with that. If you think there needs clarity with that building, maybe say if you're pre-platted before, before 1988, this doesn't apply. If you want to make it that specific, that's fine. But to me, our ordinance is saying that. So anyway, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, moving into the workshop regular agenda. First thing up is 26004, which is discuss minutes for the regular session council meeting on December 9th. Council, you should have got that in your pocket. Should have a copy of that. So is there any discussion on that that needs to take place prior to the regular session?
This is December 9th. That was a couple months ago.
2 months ago.
Oh. I watched the video and Stephen, I thought you had done it. I just watched the video when I looked at the minutes. So Kelly, you might want to double check that. Yeah. Okay.
Leave it as printed.
But if you want to double check it to be on the 6th.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, next thing up is going to be 26005, which is discuss a resolution calling and ordering a general election to be held on May 2nd, 2026. For those who don't know, we do have an election coming up for 3 council member seats. Dennis, you want to jump into that and bring Kelly up as necessary to discuss the elections, please?
Mayor, City Council, we got City Secretary's been working with the county. So Kelly, if you want to come on up here, get on the mic and go through your PowerPoint presentations, just a slide or two. Just hit some of the major dates that we'll be dealing with.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff and citizens. So we have 5 candidates who have filed, and we are going to go ahead and call an order for a general election. Do I have the PowerPoint up as well? Okay. We also will have a resolution to do that, and we have a resolution to appoint our election officers. That would be me, Dia, and Amanda. So they are going to
People
be
can
here.
still file
Until
this
Friday.
Friday. So we might have
Yeah.
more. It's not closed yet.
Yep. Yeah, so I do. They are also on our website, and we keep that up to date daily. So we have that under the 2026 election information. So we have all 5 of those. I believe it's Dorothy and Bruce. We've got Sam. We've got Melanie Bowler and Louis Gillard. Yeah, Gillard. Gilliard. Okay. So, yeah, you can go. Yeah, you could go right there. It's a little small, but what I'm going to point out is we're going to have primary elections on February 17th. For the next 2 weeks, we have that early voting, and that election day would be March 3rd. So that will be happening here at the event center for the next 2 weeks. And then our city and school elections, that will begin April 20th through the 28th, and our election day will be May 2nd. So we do have the judge, and then she has appointed officers, and then we have 3 staff members that could come, and we'll, you know, we won't all be down here at the same time, but we'll alternate. That's currently how it's set up. If it was set up differently in the past, we can revisit that, where it was at City Hall. So that's new to me. So I'm open to hear how that works. And then the other important dates that I want to share are important dates. So January 13th was our first day to apply. And then today we would call our election, since we have more than 3 candidates who have filed. February 13th will be our last day to apply. February 20th, we're going to conduct the election ballot position drawing. That will happen at City Hall. And then you'll be notified of the results by phone call or letter. April 20th is our first day of early voting, and it is scheduled to be here at the event center. And then April 28th is our last day of early voting. May 2nd will be election day. So I also want to point out that this year I'm in charge of elections, but next year Bell County is going to be taking over. So we will be looking about a 10% increase, and that's just for us. And since we also have the school district, Belton ISD, we may be partnering with them too, so we'll take a look at that. And so I do have the prices there just for us so far. I need to get with the ISD to see what that's going to look like.
Is that a law change?
That is, yeah, so they're going to be taking over solely. They sent all of us a 23, 24 audit, and I thought, am I the only one? But I learned I wasn't, which was like, but they're wanting everything to be more uniform, and then, you know, Desi just said that's something that they are going to be taking over. So, yeah.
And Kelly, is it cheaper when we team up with ISDs?
So as far as cheaper, I don't
Well,
think.
I know there's an increase, but is there any cost savings at all?
I will have to find out for
That's
sure.
all right. That's
I don't have that exact answer yet, so. Great, do y'all
Counsel.
have any other further questions for me? Okay,
Thanks, Kelly.
We leave Sam, Matt? Okay. Okay. All right, perfect, perfect. Okay, council residents, I'll draw your attention to the agenda both for the workshop and again for moving forward to the regular session. So we've got a couple discussion items on there, 007, James Bond, 26010 and 26011. One is a resolution to appoint the vice chair for the library board. The other 2 are ordinance variances. Without any objection, what I'd like to do is table those for our next meeting. There's a couple due outs that we're waiting on. We didn't get everything finalized kind of the way we wanted it. So with no objection, we'll table those 3 items and bring those back at our next either special session or regular session. Yeah, I'm sorry, 26007 is a resolution for Kim to be vice chair on the library board. 26010 is the variance on Quail Loop. And 26011 is the variance on South Robin. I have talked with Ken, where'd he go? There he is. Talked with Ken about both of those variances, and they are not extremely time sensitive. Of course, we want to get them done for our residents, but we're not under the gun on anything there. So he said,
There's a chance we're gonna have a special meeting before our next meeting, right? A special session, so maybe we can just
yeah, I would.
bring those at our next,
Yeah.
the next time we're together, if it works out.
Yeah, I would like to bring those back. As this, you know, they're all important, obviously, but I know Pam and the library board have been very patient with.
And
Where's
Kim
he
is
at?
working hard
Yeah,
already,
so we want to get those
Well, I
on.
think all 3 of those need to be
Yeah, as soon as,
expedited, because I know that one of those variances, they've been waiting, really, both of those variances have been waiting for a very long time. Months.
yeah, so I will, we will make sure those get put back on the next meeting, whether it's special or regular session. So, okay, so we will backtrack a little bit now to discussion 26008, which is the Chapter 3 edits for final review. Good evening, good sir, how are you?
Doing well, how's everybody? Okay, we've got, this one's been coming around a while, Chapter 3. Our edits that have been put together. I'll go over my little spiel here and then we'll go from there. There have been several changes to Chapter 3 of the Morgan's Point ordinance, which modified the Muni Code to be more in line with Morgan's Point resort requirements. This has been brought to City Council several times, and at this point, I think we've got most of our adjustments made. We've worked in some suggested adjustments that Donna supplied to us, and I've also got some other thoughts that have been given to me by other council members. We had a couple of little, I think a spelling, one where we left an R off on one of our references. And then on probably the biggest one, well, one other item, and Mike, I know you're here. Question came up about some of the rates that are on page 5 of Chapter 3. The question was, do these need to be updated, or are those okay? It's the
Section.
it's various rates on things that we do during that permitting.
On those fees, is that something that council reviews and approves?
Well, yeah, I'm just wanting, for clarity. Now, are you talking about getting the fees on like a master fee schedule and let that be the future? That's something that should be done here anyway, because most cities do.
Create one with all the departments. I'm trying to pull off fees, maintenance, everything, administration, all of it.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and that's what needs to be done, and that way you look at it manually, and it's a lot easier to update, and it's a good process, yeah.
When you bring the new fees, will you give us the old fees next to the new fees, so we have an idea? Okay, thanks.
It should say current and change too, so you should see clearly what it was and what it's going to be on each and every one of them, yeah.
Okay, and one other item was on page 13 in the demolition of property. There we did a lot of deletion on that. And one of the questions came up is, are we not going to demolish property? You know, the question again was, can we add, if the property is deemed hazardous, and if the property owners won't remedy it, the city can demolish it in accordance with TECQ guidelines for demolition. And there is, in that same area, there's section 3.03.101, which says the building official has authority to require demolition, and property owner can appeal to city council. So in that particular case, I think, Mike, you can help me here too. The building official in this case would be able to require demolition, but they would have the right to appeal that back to city council if it. Right.
Well, we're the appeals board. We're the appeals board.
What would happen is
Deal about that.
if they cite it, if you cite them and they disagree and they want to take it to the Board of Adjustments, they can by Texas Local Government Code. Then the option is if they want to appeal it again from that decision, it can go to the district or county court. I think it's district court if I'm not mistaken.
So we probably need that language.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's make sure it's in.
Well, let Neil weigh, I'm not
I would
100%.
suggest to the council that they never authorize a demolition without going to district court and getting a court order and having the property owner have the opportunity for a hearing in district court.
Okay,
Don't
we're
ever
out of
take it,
that. Yeah.
ever take it upon yourselves to do it within the city.
Get that language? I think it's good language.
It's your all's ordinance, so you can write it how you want, as long as it's not, you can always make it more strict, so. Or change it like he said, he's the city attorney.
I'm just saying, I don't care, it doesn't matter to me what's in the ordinance. My advice is you don't do it without going to district court.
No, and I agree. I think the resident just needs to know that's the option.
If you're gonna do that, definitely have it in writing somewhere, that's all I ask
I
from my
agree.
side of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
That what should be put in this?
Go through.
We can still hear the appeal, but we can't authorize a demolition. No. I agree. Right. Right, which should be highly unusual, but it's good to have it in writing. Okay, can we get some
So
words?
that part of the, chapter 3 will need to be modified.
Yeah, just the appeal coming to council.
Right.
But then an order of demolition would have to come from the municipal court.
No, district court.
District court.
District court, I'm so sorry.
When would that ever
Uh,
even happen, Mike? When would that even happen? When the city would say, hey, we're gonna, like, a property gets red tagged?
Holes in the roof has.
But
I mean,
not
not a repair,
demolish.
But not a
but a
demolish.
demolition and a cleanup order.
Oh, so you would,
because this house that I'm talking about, I feel the house is beyond. Talking into this?
Just hold it up.
It kind of takes the responsibility off of the city.
That's exactly the point. We don't want to take it, the city does, I don't want the city taking it upon itself to determine.
I agree with him. I think that's smart.
Okay, so this isn't going to be deleted completely. This will be,
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do some work on that one to be able to get the wording right so that we get,
I think you just provide for an initial hearing and then provide that, you know, if that entity, if that board approves the demolition, then the city, you know, will file suit in district court requesting a court order authorizing the demolition.
makes sense. It's just how to get the words in there.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
because it sounds like we're not going to come back to city council for that determination, but it's got to be determined and then.
Well, the city council needs to vote to, you know, vote to institute the lawsuit.
Okay. So the lawsuit would be what it would be, not a demolition order itself from city
No, I'm
council.
saying you need to give the property owner the right to have a hearing initially
Right.
before the city, whichever board you want it to go to, or before the city council, if that's the case. And then if the city finds, that board or, anyone in the city finds that the demolition order should be approved, then the city then institutes a lawsuit in district court to
Court.
get an order to do
Okay, so
that.
I think we still got those steps
Right.
to get in there. Okay, all right. Okay, that's all I had on chapter 3 right now, unless anybody else has any other questions.
No, thank you very much.
Sure.
All right, 2609 is, 009 is chapter 6, if you want to continue on with that.
Yes. Okay, chapter 6, this is pretty new. Right now it has to do with our, hang on just a second. Here we go. Health officer, or for under health and sanitation. And chapter 6 has been modified. Here again, Mike doing a good job of editing that, and chapter 6 being adjusted due to the fact that Morgan's Point Resort does not have a health officer. The adjustments are being made to establish duties that the building official can perform under this chapter, and Morgan's Point Resort does not have an active board of health currently. So here we're trying to consider edits and adjustments for final ordinance adoption. Hang on just a second. Get the 9-3 back. There we go.
We don't have our own health board, but
Right.
we belong to the Bell County Health Board. And
Bruce is our guy.
Red Bruce here is our city representative.
So we need to incorporate that into,
Well, he's our representative, so
Right.
if the health department comes down with anything, I'm sure he'll work with Mike and Matt and the powers that be to, but it's not like we don't have anything.
so we do, but do we want to put that into our chapter 6, into the introduction?
I think so. I think it's
Where
important.
we are a member, or we belong to the Bell County Public Health District Board, right? And that we have a representative.
Representative,
On
yeah.
the board.
A
Yeah.
representative
Even if it's
on the
not
board.
council person, it's,
No, we
you know,
will have a
we've
resident.
had somebody
Yes.
that was not on council prior.
Yes,
who was
absolutely.
the representative, yeah.
It can be anyone.
You can just say resident board member. Yeah.
Okay, and another area down there is section 6.04002, under enforcement, where we have the ability to enter a private property for enforcement. And, you know, the key here is, do we need to give them notice a certain number of days before we would actually enter their private property? Or do we feel like we do have the authority to go in at any one point in time? I think that was a concern.
That's kind of a Matt question. I mean, it does say probable cause, but that's so subjective. So I wonder if we should give notice first.
Well, I would say that that's the question for Neil.
Okay, Neil.
So ultimately, code enforcement issues and law enforcement, while some are performed in the same scope by one employee who may be acting as both, it's a very fine line when entering a property for code enforcement if you stumble upon something that's law enforcement related. So ultimately, my best advice would be, yes, you need to give notice. And the twofold for that. If giving notice of that helps to correct the violation, because now they know somebody's coming and now I'm going to correct it, you just
Solve the problem.
and then ultimately, again, safety is the other thing. Again, you know, if Mike's going along to do things, we want to make sure that, you know, he's safe, and then anybody else that's accompanying him, outside of law enforcement officer. We definitely don't want to have law enforcement. So sometimes you don't need law enforcement there, and that's where law enforcement could heighten things when things could be when handled at a lower level with a building official or a code enforcement official. So sometimes you don't need those, and so we want to make sure those situations where we don't escalate things by having law enforcement presence, we still have that exist for Mike.
Yeah, it's a judgment call, I know.
Yeah.
City attorneys in Austin for years. Exactly what properties I can get onto. Don't go on any properties if they have purple trespassing signs. If I get a code complaint, or say I'm not gonna go call that violator and tell them I'm coming to go, verify and see if someone's living.
I have a question, and as we're building this ordinance, right now we've got a guy with a lot of experience, but if you
Yeah.
don't happen to stay, will the next building official know those ordinances? Will he be able to follow the same guidelines that you do?
I mean, if he reads the ordinance, following what y'all have down in your ordinance,
Right,
following y'all stuff.
right.
I've followed other cities' stuff, but I follow what you have adopted in your ordinances.
That's why I'm wanting to make sure we write it correctly, so that
Right.
if the next person would come along, that they're gonna understand it in the same way that you do.
Yeah, it's, and like I said, when I went through that training, they explained to me government duties to do. One thing I'm required to do by law, by state law, is to make required to actually go up and knock. Nothing like that. And it goes from there.
Well, how do we get that wording in here? Because this says you have the right to enter any private property if you have probable cause. So how do we get what you just said?
Let me look up the language that was
Okay.
in the ordinance down there. Take her for a walk.
Yeah, and, I mean, giving notice might be helpful, and maybe it's a time frame. Like if it's living in an RV, you've got 24 hours, and then I'm gonna come look, or if it's, a hazardous situation, maybe you give them a little bit, maybe 5 days. I don't know what the right notice is, but, I'm leaning on giving them notice. I'm not a gotcha person. I'm like, hey,
All about gotcha.
no, but I'm saying if you give them notice,
It's all about how much your building official already has to do.
oh, okay, I see what you're
And-
saying. Right,
And yes. So yes, so
Got it.
in some cases, notice is just like like he's saying, if he's trying to catch a violator living in an RV continuously, there's certain circumstances where giving notice is not gonna be beneficial, right? Because again, giving notice, they will just vacate the RV for the 24 hours, and then as soon as he's done, so we're just gonna be this revolving door in a situation like that. So giving notice can't be just, giving blanket again. Now, if that RV happens to be, in the backyard surrounded by a privacy fence or something, where, again, he's not, a delivery driver can't access, again, now there might be some things that, where, you have to explore differently. But, most of the cases that we've had, and I believe Mike's had probably have all been where where a reasonable person could walk up and knock on the RV door, without crossing any physical barriers or anything like that. So in some cases, like Mike said, giving notice, it's gonna be situational based or circumstantive based, because again,
well, let's look at the new language, and then we'll take it from there. How
So,
about that?
so this is a great segue of something that I was researching as I was going through the building official stuff. Because Mike does have a ton of stuff on his plate. Planning and zoning does a great job. Like, they have a ton of stuff on their plate. They are culling through this stuff, and it's a pretty amazing task that they're taking on, honestly.
Plus the comprehensive plan.
Right.
Right.
So I reached out to MGO Online, which I'm getting blank stares, so no one's ever heard of. It's My Government Online. Okay. So it's a software that apparently we were about to implement in Morgan's Point 2 years ago. And then it fell through the cracks. Maybe we had a tornado. I don't exactly know what happened. But what I do know is I talked to their sales rep today. She's super, super personable. And the only reason I know of MGO is because I've used it in other municipalities through my work, being a contractor. And while it's not a perfect system, it's an online portal that makes his job a million times easier, and makes contractors' job easier. If a homeowner wants to pull a permit, because if we start looking at all of this stuff, one of the things that we find, probably especially in our community, is, I meant to ask for this data previously, but like, how many permits a year do we get? Maybe 500? Okay, so that's right.
Wow.
So that's for one person.
That's amazing.
All right, but think about this. How many people don't pull permits in our community because they don't either A, know how to do it, and it's too complicated because they get a packet, they're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or B, they're just like, I'm not gonna do it, right? It's a tax, like, this is my property. And so sometimes I think that people are getting punished for doing the right thing. And so we wanna make sure that we make this easy on residents, contractors, building officials. And so MGO was sort of my solution to this, because it is an online portal where basically homeowner, contractor submits the permit, paperwork, all the documentation they need. It's literally like a roadmap. So it's like, step 1, you do this. Step 2, you do this. Step 3, it's got all the fees listed. It's got everything that you need to do the process that he needs. So there's no phone calls, no back and forth, no emails. It's instant, maybe not, right? With 500, it would still be a lot of work for him, but it would help his work be easier. And it's not an expensive, so I assumed it was under 500, so I was just guessing, but it would be $500 a month okay? That, in my mind, you know, $6,000 a year to make his job easier, to make Matt's job easier, to make our residents being able to actually facilitate planning and zoning. I mean, so needless to say, I have an email I'd like to forward to you guys so that we could maybe look into that. Because I think it would be a solution to help Mike and our citizens. I mean, I think it's a win for everybody.
So how would our so it's basically a tool to help you get your permit done easier.
It is literally the tool to submit your permits. And
So
so
it's like TurboTask. It just
It-
tells you what you need to put in the blanks
pretty
and
much.
you do
And
it.
so like,
Okay.
I'll use a personal example, whether that's right or wrong. So I was doing a job in Temple. It was a concrete job demoing of a driveway. So I know exactly what we needed to engineer for the driveway. But the apron to get onto the driveway, the city of Temple has very specific engineering that they wanted done. So they said, hey, you didn't submit the apron. I said, I don't know what you guys want. They said, we'll send it to you. Online, got a little reminder on their app, said, hey, that document's there. Pull up that document, gave it to my subcontractor, and they did it. When I was ready for an inspection, I pushed inspection. They came out, inspected, said, you guys are good to go, place your concrete. And so I just think we're growing so much.
Right.
He's got so much on his plate. We've got to make this easier because we want to, like, whether it's water department, whether it's
Right.
public works, whether it's the police department,
So
we've
is-
got to be more efficient as we grow and make it
Is this being used around the area?
everywhere. Yeah,
Everywhere?
Temple uses
Okay.
it. I think Harker Heights uses it.
Okay,
Belton uses it.
okay.
Okay. And
So-
so
And
I think this
how would the residents know about it? Would that be, could we
it would
connect
be on their
to our-
website, a link to the website, and then
We could link it from our website
absolutely.
to
And
their-
so when
to their-
someone's saying, I want to build a fence, you know, they would go on to MGO. And again, it's not a perfect system, so I don't want to say that it's perfect. It's got its weaknesses. And he's smiling, so he probably knows that.
What's that for?
And here's the crazy thing. We literally have done all of the legwork up to, we're probably a month out from being able to implement this into our city. It usually takes 4 to 6 months, but all of the legwork was done,
Wow.
and then it just got,
Oh, my goodness.
I'm not sure why it was dropped. Staff has been talking about it. Hear me? Yeah. We've also had the same discussions internally. There's some interface as far as
Fund you
fees and what have
probably,
you.
yeah.
I don't know the answer to it, but we've already said, go ahead and look into it, not just for Mike's end of it. We know that works. There's lots of things that should be automated. Even to rent this building should be automated. We should not have
Absolutely.
to stop everything just to take care of it. So there's other things that we want to do, but they are looking into it. And if it's, I just don't know where funding fits into that. It may very well
So
work.
I had that conversation because I said, well, you know, how would they talk to each other? She said, we can make it talk to whomever.
Yeah,
Set up a
there's
meeting with
usually,
our
when they
CTO.
make a talk, there's an interface that costs money, usually. I don't know who's gonna do what, but in either case, we're all for it. I don't know why it was dropped back then.
Right.
It doesn't
Well,
really
it doesn't
matter.
matter now.
Doesn't
Like, but I think that right now, we're at a spot where like, let's move forward and figure out how to make that happen.
And they're working on it behind the scenes. I don't know how far they got. Who was, well, you talked about Mike with me, myself. Mike has, and we've had that discussion. So it's really just to see what we can pull off and how much and how soon. But yes, we're all on board with that. Because many of the cities, not just here, throughout Texas, larger cities use it. And it's been
Well, I
very
think it'll help
beneficial.
us, our residents be more compliant and like, it's not a gotcha then. It's not,
No,
it
yeah,
is,
yeah.
it just
Here's the- Easier.
it makes it easier.
Well, if you can do the permits.
You don't have
online.
to know crazy language. I mean, so just so you guys know, because you know I'm a teacher, I let some of my students read some of these codes. I was like, hey, read this, tell me what this says, right? Some of these kids are pretty sharp. They're like, I have no idea what I'm reading, right? And so I think if we can make it easier for the average person to understand how to be compliant, that's that is a great goal, and that's what I want to do.
There's also some modules in Civic Plus. I know the website gets a bad rap, but honestly, it's pretty robust. If we keep up with the additions, I mean, I think we're probably 10 years behind on our website, Civic Plus. So, but they have modules out there for renting the event center and parks, and there is software out there.
Well, I go back to KISS, you know,
I
keep it
know,
simple,
I know.
Stephen.
Plus, it's pretty simple.
Well, and I had that conversation with her this afternoon, actually, because I took off work a little bit early. And because they're already using FundView, and they're using Encode, and they're using Tyler, and they're using several other ones that they're already integrated with MyGov. And so I don't think it would be, again, it's a conversation that needs to be had, but I know it would make his job easier. And like, I mean, out of his mouth, man, do you know how much stuff I got going on? So,
I guess to put it in simple, it's just staff is definitely on board looking at it. Whether it's feasible or not, I don't know. I do know some cities get those individual touch points and they don't line up, and it causes chaos later on for finance, for auditing and what have you. So, but yes, we're aware of it. We've talked about it. We definitely think it's worthwhile. I don't know where it's going to end up, but it's something I do think would be beneficial. Anything you do online and pass that on to the residents, there's that much less people that have to touch it internally.
And my hesitancy with FundView is that if we're having so many problems with FundView, I want to think long and hard before we implement anything else related to FundView.
we can't even pay our water bills correctly with FundView.
Yeah,
So
so let's
is it
not.
that good of a software? Probably
We
not.
can look at it, but right now I don't know that that's a viable option.
Good thing to keep in mind, though. to
Yeah,
move
exactly.
in that
Just
direction,
keep it in the
yes.
back of your mind,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay, sorry, we digress.
That was good stuff.
Sorry, Kim. It would make your stuff easier too, man.
Mike and I are liking this. I mean, anything that's gonna make it easier and more efficient is gonna work, for sure. Okay, moving on just a little bit. Another area is in the, let's see, I think it's 605-001, which is the handbill discussion. And here, we're getting rid of all the handbill, printed material matters, advertisings. And one of the questions that came up about that was, what about flyers on cars and door hangers for advertisements and such? Do we have this covered under a littering ordinance or someplace else? Or, in your opinion, Mike, if,
We still get stuff here in Morgan's Point. We still get things here in Morgan's Point, door hangers and, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
So, no. I'm all for taking it out if we have a litter, because I looked it up, the state laws basically were covered as long as we have a littering ordinance. So I just don't know if we have a littering ordinance. Okay, great, then we should be covered. Okay, should we have a
so it
littering?
sounds like we're good with that then.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see
Very
anything,
good.
but, okay.
And then backtracking just a little bit is 604-004, and that had to do with allowing mobile campers to be used as sleeping rooms. The question there was, thought maybe we had a 3-day stay that was allowed for mobile campers, as opposed to prohibiting. Because when you look at 604004, hang on just a second. There we go.
Oh, yeah, I thought we allowed people to stay, like, you have family in from out of town and they stay the weekend in the camper out front. Well, this is
I'm not-
prohibiting it.
What number is it again?
And
What page?
it's the very last page add-on,
Okay,
and it just says prohibited conditions at the top.
Right.
And I just thought we allowed it. So I don't want to say we don't allow it.
I wonder,
Or do we want to limit it?
that term to be used as sleeping rooms, is sleeping rooms kind of unique to just, a sleeping room to me would almost be like a hotel room or something like. Right. Right.
I want to be clear, because we do have people that do that. And we do have people that illegally let people stay in their RVs for a short-term rental. So I want to be clear. Okay, so. Pardon? Yeah. Okay, well, how do we allow short-term but not,
when we go to
Living.
my daughter in Clyde, and we always take our RV and stay in our RV while we're there. And I looked up their ordinance, and they allowed you to stay there temporarily for no more than 3 weeks.
I mean, I think that's
That's what it was
reasonable.
set at. So, I just looked it up because I was in an RV.
Maybe 3 weeks might be a little long.
It might be, but just
Oh,
depends what
3
you're doing
days.
at your daughter's house.
In Sun City, Arizona, where we used to visit, it's 3 days.
What was that, Sam?
Yeah.
Said Sun City has 3 days. Is that what you said, Sam?
Yes, sir.
I want to be reasonable, you know.
I think a week would be reasonable. I mean, my dad traveled around, when he retired, he went to all 48 states. They drove around for like years. I mean, I don't know. I'm open to what you guys think and what's fair. I mean, we want to be fair. Like, I
Right.
think that's what we want to be, is fair.
I like a week,
More than 7 days.
7 days.
I mean, 3 days, I'm fine with 3 days. I mean, Sam said 3, again, yeah,
Alright.
that's, so, yeah.
Right. Right. Exactly. No, that's reality. I just don't want to prohibit it. So Ken, I don't know if you guys want to stew on that a little bit.
Yeah, we probably need to.
You know, state parks like Cedar Ridge allow 14 days.
All right,
You guys hear Sam?
They've had that for a while.
14 days, what he said, I believe.
14
Cedar
days.
Creek,
The Corps of Engineers campsite,
oh, Cedar Park.
14 days.
The campsite itself
Okay.
allows for 14. It's a Corps of Engineers park.
You guys want to do a little research? We're a lake community, see what makes sense. And a lot of people
Yep.
have RVs. Okay.
Okay.
All right, then, also on that, under that same section, 6.04.004, item number 8, which talks about things on property, weeds, rubbish, et cetera, et cetera. Question there was, do we also need to add in a wildfire hazard to the health part? And I think we've talked about Firewise a lot recently, and that'd probably be a good add.
Okay, good. Eight.
It's number 8 under 604004. Let's see, and I think the last one, the last one had to do with feces on walkways.
Out.
And that being the case, since we have limited walkways, most of the walkway that everybody walks in the street, and maybe we need to add that to also on streets, that would be prohibited as well. You know, we can't really take the deer poop off because that's gonna be everywhere. But dogs, horses, goats, and cats might be a good piece to be able to put in to prohibit that as well. And I believe on,
Excellent.
believe on chapter 6, that was,
Well, what do you guys think about that? Actually, it's not 10, it looks like it's 11.
oh, you're right, I looked that up and I had it down as 10, but that was wrong. It was
11, yeah, I'm sorry. So
That's
it's
no
number
problem.
11.
Yeah, it was 11, I'm sorry.
I don't know how we enforce that, but I think it'd be nice to have an ordinance that says you're supposed to clean up after your pet.
Isn't there already an ordinance?
Not on the street, it's just on the walkway.
Sidewalks and stuff, yeah.
We don't have many walkways. My walkway is the street.
That's pretty standard in most cities.
I know, but we're a natural, environmental city. Okay, well,
We'll look at it a little bit more too. And
okay,
since we're going to be making a few more adjustments,
okay,
we'll
okay.
look into that one as well.
Right on time, huh?
And I believe that gets us past chapter 6, unless anybody else has any questions right now. Well, I think what our take back is, we've got a few things to do to chapter 3, a few more things to do to chapter 6. Once we get those all worked in through there, we'll bring this back another time. You know, we want to get this as right as we can before you have to adopt the ordinance. So,
Thank you guys for working so hard.
so
'Cause
much.
This has been a lot.
Yeah, it
has
is,
been,
it
for
is.
sure.
Okay, thank you, sir. Council, nothing else?
Jim?
Going once?
Is one quick item I'd like to bring up, and I know we're tabling these last two that are down there, but at 14 South Robin, we have that issue of an individual that owns 2 lots. There's a green easement in between those 2 lots. Is there any discussion or thoughts about can we or what do we do with green easements for Morgan's Point Resort? Do we have an option to where those can be purchased by property owners or abandoned, yes or no? Because we're starting to run into these as people are starting to do different things throughout the city. So, So, but as far as that actually going to residents or owners, sounds like that's not an option. Right.
I don't want to get into that business, to be perfectly honest. I
Well,
mean,
what would happen is somebody could buy someone's easement behind their house. That just creates a whole
it
snafu of all
does.
sorts
Who
of crazy
gets it?
stuff.
Who gets it?
Right.
You know,
I,
yeah, I
and I want to
understand.
say something.
Yeah,
Yes, Sam.
I've had requests from residents, and if they have a green easement between two properties they own, and they don't interfere with anybody else, there are limited cases like that, but there's no reason why we shouldn't accommodate them and get rid of the responsibility for maintaining that easement, even if we have to give them an easement across it for public access or some other venue.
yeah, my concern is it's public property.
Access easement is already there. You can't do away with it, and they can't do anything on the property that would impede the public's use and passage over that property.
And also,
Seems to me there could be an accommodation.
well, there's all,
Of some kind.
you can always make an exception, but it is the way the city was developed. The city, you know, some cities are developed with paseos, some cities are developed with parks that lead to sidewalks. Our city was developed with green easements. And so it's kind of changing the fundamental, absolutely, yep. Right. Well, those have to be taken out because they are in violation of our ordinances. I don't this is
I would
one.
like to add that this is something that could be considered on an individual basis. There may be some cases in which an easement between two plots wouldn't interfere with anything, and the city doesn't need to maintain it or use fire mitigation methods there, and it would behoove the city to get rid of that easement. There are some like that. And I think it should be considered on an individual basis. Not all the easements should be saleable, but some are helping us with nothing. Nobody uses them for transit. They're not necessary for the deer to go across. There are some of them where the city could make some money and be rid of an accommodation, be rid of a responsibility.
Yeah,
We should look at them individually.
yeah, you'd have to look at the way the city was platted. You'd have to look at the way the city was laid out, because a lot of the green easements go behind multiple homes. So, you know, who gets it? If only one of the homeowners want it that happens to have street access, which in this case 14 Robin Circle would, then nobody else can get on that green easement from Robin Circle because that easement is now blocked by whatever they want to do with it. So we almost have to look at the way the city's laid out. I hear you loud and clear. I don't want to say blanket no, never, but it has to be really looked at on an individual basis, I guess.
I would like to see applications received by people who think they have a plan to do such a thing, and let the council decide.
Well, it's here before us with 14 Robin Circle.
It is, yes.
I haven't looked at 14 Robin Circle. I don't know. I don't have an opinion. But I think each case should receive the council's attention. There aren't going to be many. There aren't going to be many people that want to buy an easement. But in some of those easements, they really don't help us. They don't pass people. They don't pass deer. They're useless. And we have to maintain them and clean them.
I hear you loud and clear.
Access to the lake.
Yep.
Just for clarification, and I could be absolutely wrong, but if you're selling government property, doesn't it have to go to auction? Yeah, so it has to be auctioned, so.
Well, that's fine.
We've done it without before.
In Morgan.
Yeah, if we have an applicant
Is it
who
legal?
says, I want this property next to my property to be up for auction so I can buy it,
A lot of
I
things
think it
before.
should be considered on an individual basis.
So you've raised a dilemma with green easements. And I
Sorry to
know you
bring that
guys,
up, but,
I know you guys
it
had the
came up.
dilemma in your discussion too,
We did, yeah.
as to what to do.
Yep.
So since it's already gonna be discussed at another time, Sam, look at your packet, under this, number 14 Robin Circle, because it has all the information in there that you need, I think. It even has the
Well,
plan.
we're not making decisions tonight.
No.
Nor
absolutely.
discussing, we're tabling.
Yeah, okay, but
tabled
Ken wanted maybe to get our juices going,
Yeah.
and you did.
Yep.
We will
Sorry
think
about that.
it.
Go, Ken.
No,
Yeah,
that's
thanks,
good.
Ken.
All right.
Okay.
As far as I know, that's all I've got, Jim, unless anybody else has questions.
That's enough, great,
All right,
thanks.
thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay.
Okay, council, looking at, the agenda, we're earlier than we normally are at this point of the night, even though we're running late. So that essentially covers everything in the workshop minus the city manager and finance updates as well as the executive session. So, what I would like to do, without any objection, is we will recess out of the workshop, take a 5-minute break, and we will reconvene. Actually, we'll start at quarter after. We will reconvene back into the regular session. So, all right, recess now at 6:08, please, ma'am.